Welcome to PAR Podcast, episode 76.13. PAR Podcast is an audio supplement for Public Administration Review, the premier professional journal in the field of public administration. This year, 2015, PAR celebrates 75 years of furthering public administration research, theory, and practice. This episode features comments by Ed Gerrish, an assistant professor of public administration in the Department of Political Science at the University of South Dakota. Professor Gerrish discusses his article titled, "The Impact of Performance Management on Performance in Public Organizations, a Meta-Analysis." This article is currently available on Early View and will be published in Public Administration Review, Issue 76, Volume 1.
Thanks for the introduction. In this article, I review the scholarly literature on performance management in the public sector using a meta-analysis. There has been renewed vigor in performance management research in recent years and widespread disagreement about the impact of performance management in the organizations that it is employed. Although performance management is sometimes associated with the new public management, the literature is diverse in both traditional public management as well as a number of policy subfields, including policing, job training, education, and others. This diversity is also one of the challenges to finding many of the quantitative evaluations of performance management. The process of quantitative meta-analysis includes defining the inclusion criteria, searching the literature, coding studies, and examining the results using a suite of tools developed in the scientific literature. More details about these processes can be found in the paper. In total, I uncovered 49 studies that contain 2,188 effects, or the statistical relationship between performance management and performance in public organizations. Each effect is transformed into an effect size, based on Pearson's R, which is bounded between -1 and 1. This transformation allows for a direct comparison between different samples. The data are analyzed using meta-regression, a form of weighted least squares. Each effect is weighted roughly by its sample size, so that larger studies are weighted more heavily. Results indicate that the mean effect size, which represents the average effect of performance management in an average public organization, is 0.03. Using typical rules of thumb for Pearson's R, this is interpreted as an effect near zero. However, when the mean effect size is conditioned on some variables coded from the original studies, such as best practices and study quality, the effect is significantly larger. Best practice indicators include the use of benchmarking, bottom-up adoption and implementation, and the use of outcome rather than output performance indicators. This is a wholly incomplete list of possible best practices, but were the most tractable when coding studies from disparate fields. Study quality indicators include research design and strategies to address endogeneity. When best practice indicators are included in meta-regressions, the effect size becomes 0.107. And when I combine best practice indicators and study quality indicators, the mean effect size is 0.117, nearly 4 times as large as the unconditional mean effect size. Taken together, these results suggest that the use of best practices in performance management systems have an important influence over their impact. In short, management matters. One of the important caveats to this article is the inability to deal with potential gaming behaviors. Performance management systems are notorious for creating gaming behaviors, which can create illusory performance gains or harm other organizational outcomes. Because the original studies varied in their attention to gaming, it cannot be considered here. Future work should focus on examining variation in performance management implementation in order to better understand what works and why. Moreover, studies of performance management should be mindful of potential gaming responses, as many studies did not consider those problems. Thanks for listening to this PAR podcast. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at ed.gerrish@usc.edu. Thanks.
This concludes PAR Podcast, episode 76.13. To listen to additional episodes and learn more about Public Administration Review, please visit us online at publicadministrationreview.org. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter at PA Review. Thanks for listening.